Hi, Joe Cerrone. Welcome to CAD 116, Basic AutoCAD 2021. This is our weekly Zoom meeting, and today we're going to talk about Module 2. We'll take a look at some of the previous assignments. We're going to be putting everything into the main splash page, and then we tie that to the Content tab. So I'm going to go and change over to view this as a student so that I see things the same way that you do. And let's take a look at what we're working on. So we're going to work on chapter 3 and 4, and we've had some problems with the curriculum. So if you're not able to access the textbook, click on this link and put in your access code. And I'm going to check with Goodhart Wilcox again, but this is on their end right now. This is an IT matter. I'll show you how I'm logging in. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to the Goodhart Wilcox Online, and that's gwonlinetextbook.com, and then I log in, and then I have access to the book. And so if we look at chapter 2 is on drawings and templates. And so chapter 2 goes through starting drawings, saving files, a lot of just the mechanics of working with the tools. And then if we go back here to how the book works, or how our digital book, we can call it our D2L system works, is that this is our management. This is the book that we use for the course essentially. It's digital and it's tied to a textbook and it's tied to these other aspects. We color code, so anything in blue is a reading, anything is green that is a CAD assignment, and anything in red is a quiz. And so if you see something red here, you go, oh, I got to take a quiz. Oh, I got to read chapter 3 and 4. So as we look at these chapters, everything has a learning objective. The learning objectives are really basic, and the textbook likes to tell you how to draw in text, and so I like to do videos and hold these meetings because the best way to learn CAD is by watching somebody else do it. In this week's assignment, we have a general design assignment. And so that's what I like to do. I feel that general design is really where a lot of the technologies are going. General manufacturing, general design, everybody needs some CAD skills, whether you're working in the IT department and just trying to track computers in your facility, or if you're somebody who's got to go through and lay out the furniture for the rooms and the computers. So we break these assignments into a general design, a mechanical, and an architectural. Sometimes we give you a choice. We say do the mechanical or the architectural. Most of the time we'll tell you to do them both. And you can always do more work. And so here's the assignment. Elle likes to link them in here. Here's our assignment for the number 1. And then you can download these. Elle has been really good about just embedding everything. And so if I click on the number 1 and I look at this exercise, this is an exercise that's in absolute, rectangular, and relative coordinates. And so this exercise walks you through how to use coordinate input, because nothing ever turns out exactly even, 5 feet, 5 feet, 5 inches, whatever. And so you need to know how to do numerical input. And that's what this exercise works on. If we look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, each of the corners has a numerical value assigned to it. And this is a compass showing you the directions that AutoCAD works in. 0 being at 3 o'clock, 90 at 12 o'clock, 180 at 180, and 270. And so as we work at these, and I probably should have said 9 o'clock and 6 o'clock, need more coffee. But as we go through it, when we look at how to draw these points, basically it's an exercise in working with CAD. And then if I turn down a grid here, you can actually see here's our XY coordinate, that's 0. And so if I come over to AutoCAD and click on, I guess they call this the burger, the cheeseburger now. I don't know why. It doesn't really look like a hamburger to me, but if I have my coordinates on, and they are on right here, X, Y, and Z, and then if I have my snap on, if I go through and I hover at a certain point, let's say I go to align command there, you can see the coordinate display was 0, 0, 0. And then if I go over to this point, the coordinate's 2, 1, 0, and then this point is 2, 4, 0. So when we work on the coordinate entry for working with these, what we would do, and I'll just go, I have to put my workspace back over to two-dimensional drafting. And a lot of what the chapter talks about is just that, you know, being able to switch things over. Come on. There we go. Switch things over and work with the interface. I like to work with line weights. And so if I have a line weight enabled, unfortunately, this layer doesn't have a line weight on it. My lines would be thicker or darker. And I'll go into that at a different point because it'll be a distraction right now. But if I go and I change the color here, I'm just going to type in color. Let me just show you a couple of my tricks and techniques. The first thing I like to do when I'm working with AutoCAD is I like to turn on the menu bar. So it's this little widget. And so we'll say show menu bar. Autodesk has gotten away from using words and using pictures now, which I'm not a big fan of, because I like the words because then I can tell people what buttons to push. It's hard to describe them. With that said, we're in the two-dimensional drafting mode. I like to turn on the toolbar or the menu bar. Turn on the menu bar right there. You can show the menu bar. I also like to put on toolbars. And so oftentimes I'll add toolbars like toolbars, AutoCAD, properties. I use properties a lot and I use layers a lot. And depending on if you're doing 2D or 3D. In this example, I just wanted to change the color, so I'll go with red. And then when I go through and I draw something like this with coordinate input, I would say, give me a line, and then it's going to ask me the XY coordinate for that. And so there we go. So it says first point of the line. And so if I look at my exercise for the number 1, I'll say 2, 1. So you type in 2 for X, comma, separates it to the Y-axis, 1, enter. And you can see that it's at that coordinate location. And then for my next coordinate, I hit the down arrow key, and then I type in pound, comma, pound, and then I say 2, 4. And that didn't work. So next point is going to be 2, they changed it with some of these things. There it goes, 2, 4, arg, undo. And so let's try that again. There it goes. And we can continue to go through these pound. And I think it's my typing or something like that. It's like it's not registering it when I'm hitting the keys. So it's just that my computer may have too many things on it. There it goes. And so what we're doing with this exercise is we're just putting in coordinates. And so if I come back to the main splash page here and we look at these coordinates, this is coordinate inputs, coordinate values. And I have some exercises here. If we go into the content tab and we take a look at that, essentially I used to have an AutoCAD website. I still have it. And this is sort of a secondary area. It's a nice place to just get content. And so here, using absolute coordinates, I made this website in 2007. Sorry. I've been doing a lot of research on laser cutters, and they're really cool. We got one over at the Skokie campus. Whoops, darn it. One of those mornings. So it's going to make me watch the Glowforge again. There we go. So there's these CAD training videos. I like them short. And so it's a 2-minute video, how to use absolute coordinates. And my recommendation, depending on where you're at in the course, would be to watch the videos on your iPad or when you're at lunch, because the way I'm going to deliver this course isn't going to be to just lecture you guys 10 minutes, in these little 10-minute videos every Sunday. The way I'm going to run the course is to tell you where to get the information so that when I'm not here, you know what to do. And so this is an exercise in coordinate input, and there's some good video resources that I have located for you. If I come back here to my table of contents and we look at other things, let's take a look at our sequence of topics. And so we're going to try to stay on task. It's not always easy, but as we go through and you're going, well, what am I supposed to do here, Joe? Well, just follow the outline. And if Al and I aren't following the outline, then tell us. But that's kind of the key to holding everything together. What am I going to do today? Oh, okay. 214, I'm going to go through chapter 3 and 4. I'm going to go through the module 2 exercises, and I'm going to take the quiz. So back to what are we up to today? So if we look at module 2, and I come over here, here's module 2. Here's our main splash page. And like I say, we do mechanical, architectural. I prefer interior design work because the architects are always in court for some reason. General design. Okay, so I go 3 categories of assignments. General design, like that number 1, how to do absolute relative polar coordinates. Mechanical design and architectural design. And so when we look at what we have here, here's our architectural lab. And then if we click on this right here, you can see what the exercise looks like. And it's just a conference room. And so this would be a typical application for somebody who has to be responsible for rooms. It's got a big table in it, a bunch of chairs, and another table for snacks. It's dimensioned in architectural units. And a lot of what the textbook talks about when we go into the book here, it goes through starting with templates and working with these different templates. And so the templates that you have to choose from can be mechanical templates or architectural. Here's IARCH. I know it's real small, but trust me. IMFG. And then, so they'll have drawings that are set up for metric units, drawings that are set up for civil units. AutoCAD does everything. The templates that we will use are right here in our lesson objectives. And so we have all these different title blocks, and you can just download those. Those are the plate drawings. This is the mechanical drawings. And these are the architectural drawings. And so when you go through and you set up a standard for your employees, you want everybody to use a title block. You want the colors to match. You want the text heights to match. You want the fonts to match so that it doesn't look like a big mishmash where everybody's doing their own thing. Okay, back to chapter 2. So we have an architectural drawing, okay, and it's that conference room. And then I have a YouTube tutorial for you. And so, like I say, I could go through and work the entire assignment, or I could just go through and play some of the YouTube videos. YouTube videos are nice. You can close caption them. That's one of the reasons that we put them on. They're really pretty close. I'm linking to my AutoCAD in this one, so it's a little bit dated, but it's like a TV show. For me to go and make the same show with the newer version of the software is fine, but we don't always do that. If it does get to a point where it doesn't work, we will do that. And so I'm showing you here how to download the architectural title block and then to draw the floor plan. And the units are the same. We go through and the size is the same. We use offset. We use polar tracking. And we'll draw this. And so there's the video for that. And then the completed drawing will look like this. Not like that one. It's going to look like, here it is. Here we go. And so when you work with architectural drawings, we're going to work with these furniture blocks, and we're going to work with dimensions. As we look at the way the textbook rolls things out, talks about paper space and model space. Model space is this infinite drawing board where you can go through and draw everything. And what we do is we set up the snap and the grid here so that they kind of replicate known dimensions. You know, when you go into whenever I'm in one of the classrooms and I got to figure things out as far as sizes, I look at the ceiling or I look at the floor and I count tiles. And so you can set up the ceiling tiles or the tiles by going to Tools, Drafting Settings, Snap and Grid, and you can set up a snap of 6 inches, and here's a grid of 1 foot. And so by working, you know, these basic settings, I can get an idea of how big things are just by counting grid squares. Just good things to work with, enable polar tracking. And then OSNAP, when you draw with CAD, you want the lines to be connected. In other words, you want them endpoint to endpoint. Because as we start to work with CAD, we'll do a number of things with it as far as being able to turn objects into 3D. Okay, where am I at on time here? All right, so that's our architectural assignment. You'll draw it in model space, and then you can go through and you can put dimensions on it. If I put a dimension on, I'll click the endpoint here and the endpoint here, and then I'll drop that down. When we tie things into the textbook, as far as what the textbook is saying, is it talks about units. And so when we go into formatting options, the first thing when we get into it is drawing templates. So we have these mechanical templates and these architectural templates. And then as we look at how it breaks it down, we have architectural units, and then it gives an example, 3 inches, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. They really should have a feet and inch kind of example in the sample output like this, 16 feet, 0 inches. But that means when I input units, I will input them in that fashion. So if I want to draw a 10-foot, 6-inch line, I can say from here, click. And then as I track this out, I can say, okay, at a 15-degree angle, draw this 10 feet, 6. You don't have to put the double quotes on. It just is the default. Enter. And then I can draw a line specifically at that length. And that's how architectural units work versus decimal units. If I went through and I got the mechanical, and this is a good segue for that. So we're going to work with architectural units on this. Okay, we're going to dimension it. The way the dimension styles are set up on these templates is that if I go into the dimension style, and here's how these ribbons work now. Style menus are these little corner arrows. And so again, you got to start reading hieroglyphics to be able to use these softwares. And then I can go into these dimension style managers, which typically are set up by somebody like me or the manager who basically wants everybody's text to look the same. And so we'll go and set this up. And if I look at the modification area for it, primary units is also set for architectural. And you'll get a little glyph of that too. And it's going to show you feet and inches versus if I went to decimal, now I'm getting decimal units. And if I want to kind of go and goof myself up, I'll go and change the units over and try giving this to your facilities guys. All right. Hey, it's 192 inches. What? Where did you get your degree at? No. So let's go put that back. Modify. Primary units, architectural. So we were able to associate these dimension styles to the drawings. If I change the size of the room, okay, and come back over here and I stretch something, the dimensions are what they call associative, which means that I can make this room bigger. And then as you can see, 27 feet, 30 feet, let's make it a 30-foot room. It's always better to have bigger stuff. And so that's what I do. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of facilities management. And so when I get into the Skokie campus, the architects will send me prints. I'll lay out where my machines are located. I'll lay out where the students are sitting. I'll lay out where the teacher is. I'll put in the data cabling lines. Okay, a lot of different aspects like that. Okay, back to our CAD. So there's an architectural drawing lab, and there is a YouTube video for that. And then we have our mechanical lab. And so our mechanical lab is located right here. And there's 3 of them. I really like the mechanical labs because I teach machine shop. I've been doing machine shop since I was 13. In the metal shop, I wasn't good at English. And back in the 80s, if you weren't good at English, you went into the trades, which is fine. I'd rather work in the trades and make money than try to work in some other business and not make any money. So as we look at them, okay, here's module 2, lab 1, okay, just a mechanical part, okay, a thingy. And then when we look at how Joe and Al have set this up for you, we have a video. And so here's my mechanical video. If we click play, this looks like this one is in the Oakton video system. And so, nope, it's YouTube. So again, we can close caption it, and we can go through. You can see I use my old Oakton CAD to kind of launch these. D2L really didn't start getting popular until 4 years ago, maybe 5. So give me a thumbs up. I never get really that many YouTube hits as much as I would like. My friends get. I have some friends that used to work for me. They get 5,000 hits. So they've kind of outgrown me. All right, so we have videos for the mechanical. And then if we tie that into the textbook and we look at what am I talking about with mechanical? Well, we're talking about using a mechanical title block. And so if I download the mechanical block and I open that, and that's just a warning. It tells you that it's an AutoCAD student version. So if you bring stuff home from work and you put it on a student version, it gets a tattoo on the printout that says student version. Here's my mechanical title block. I put a pointed 00 because I like to do CAD CAM with it. So here's my 00. But if I wanted to draw a 3" by 3" block, I can turn on my grid and my snap. I can go to my drafting settings, and I can say, okay, snap and grid are enabled, 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. Polar tracking is on, and OSNAP is on. And then if I want to go and draw a 3 by 3, I can go and track that out. I can type in 3. I can track that north, 3. Turn the wheel on the mouse, push the wheel on the mouse, 3. C for close. Lots of shortcut type commands. And then as we start to get into, drawing with these, we have our draw commands, like drawing a circle. With grid and the snap, it's pretty straightforward. I can just go ahead and draw that in depending on which object I'm drawing. If I was going to draw the one with the chamfers, I would go here and I would say chamfer, and then this is what's called a dynamic input. It follows the cursor versus the traditional command line. And so you can type everything in, or you can use the down arrow if you have to learn to read the interface, and I can then set up that is a 1/4 inch chamfer. And so I'll say distance 0.25. They're already in the defaults for the template I created. And so unless we're changing this to maybe a 1/2 inch or something else, it remembers the last coordinate. And then if I put a radius in here, similar commands are like grouped together. And so fillet and chamfer are very similar, so they keep them together, but they work the same way. You have to modify existing geometry. Radius 0.25, great. And then I'll click this line and this line, repeat, click this line and this line. And then we want to use layers. We want to use layers for center lines. And so if I want to annotate this with a center mark, I can go here, bam, put that center mark on. I could add other geometry, and a lot of it is just geometry exercises. How Snap will fight with you. It's not going to be small enough for me. And so when I look at this, and it's got a radius, I believe it's an 1/8 inch radius on it. And so I'll type in 0.125. Okay, that doesn't work with my snap. So you can go into your snap setting and just dial it down. Just dial it down to 0.125. And so it takes a little while to get sort of fluid with CAD, but we have the videos for it. And then after a while, we'll turn you into a black belt CAD user so that you can own. And then we'll go in here and trim this. Trim is kind of nice. Whoops, wrong one. Undo, trim. They kind of took the way this works from SolidWorks. It's on the wrong layer. And so again, you can select things and then you can change the layers. There we go. And then if I really want to just kind of crank this out, I'll mirror it. And so we don't show you how to do all the fast ways to do it. We show you how to just make it work. Okay, and then we put it on the title block by going to our paper space, double click in the viewport, and this one has a scale. For some reason it's locked. Usually, oh, it's unlocked. But 1:1 is fine. You know, it's a little small at 1:1, but I like to make my shop prints full scale because if I'm making these parts, I'll put the part on top of the print and just see if everything lines up. You're not supposed to, but everybody does it because you'll know right away if these holes don't line up or if something else. But if it's not at scale, it's no good. You can't do that. All right, so that's our mechanical lab. And I'm going to wrap up this part of the video, and then I'll make another video to talk a little bit more about some of the other things so it doesn't get too long. So as we look at what we're working on, we're going to do a mechanical drawing and we're going to do an architectural drawing. We have a floor plan of a conference room. It has some furniture in it, so you'll have to use the furniture that's in D2L to put the tables, put the chairs, and then array them. There's a mechanical assignment here, which I just kind of demonstrated, and there's a general design assignment. You're to take those assignments and create the files for them, save them, and turn them into the assignments folder. When you turn them into the assignments folder, you'll get a submission receipt, and you'll also get to look at how that assignment is graded. And so there's a rubric, you know, did you meet the standards? Are you following the guidelines? It's pretty basic, but we'll give you feedback. The assignments are not made to be real difficult, especially in the beginning. This is a general design course. And then under quizzes and exams, you'll go through and you'll take the quiz, test 1. I'll fix the dates. But when you go into these tests and these quizzes, they're basically just quizzes on terminology so that we can go through and see if you understand how to use the copy command, how to use the move command. You can use your book, you can use your computer, open book, open notes, and the test should be taken like with the module. So if you're taking test number 1, take it with module number 1, test 2, module 2, etc. I think we pushed the first test back because the first week of class, we don't like to give tests until everybody's up and running. So with that, that's our general review of what we're working on. I'll go into some more Zoom recordings in a minute, but that's our wrap up on what we're going to be working on this week. And I'm going to stop this video and ask if there's any questions, and then we'll see if we need to make another video. All right, have a good day.